the European Court of Human Rights and how this court has dealt with cases regarding parental alienation. Violations of Article 8 in the European Convention of Human Rights, person's right to respect for his family and private life, and how maybe the judgment from the European Court can influence other courts. Parents losing their contact with a child, that's a question of family life which is broken down. The national authorities not done as they could, either to prevent this breakdown from happening, or how to repair it, how to make reunions. And being a member of the European Council, you are obliged to comply. The decisions from the court in Strasbourg, the European Court, is binding in a way for the national courts. A single person, an individual, meaning that his right is not respected, is then making a trial against his national state, that this state has not done enough to keep his right. So his right is not respected. The national state should first refrain from interfering in a private life. There are some exemptions, of course, but the main rule is that your private life, your family life, shall be respected for the national authorities, if not the authorities have very strong reason for doing it, of course, but the main rule. That's a so-called negative obligation. The state shall not. And then you have the other positive obligation, which telling that the national authorities is obliged to do or to take every measures as possible or adequate to rebuild a family if that is broken. So for instance, if a parent is refused from different reasons to see his child, that can have a judgment in the European Court saying that this national authorities, they have not taken enough measures to rebuild, to make this contact happen again. This positive obligation for the national authorities to take measures, to take the necessary requirements, the most important principles. You have this Article 8, and then you have a lot of case law from the court. And in this case law, the court has developed certain principles. The contact between parent and child, talking about respect for family life, means that every child has the right to have contact with his parent, and every parent has the right to have contact with his or her child. That's in a way the main rule. And then you have the child's view, even if the child's view is very often the most important, and it can be paramount importance, they say. That does not mean that the child's view has a significance as a veto. That doesn't mean that it's very important, but still the parent has their own individual rights for family life. So in a conflict where there is no contact between child and parent, and for instance, in our cases, which we are talking about here, parental alienation cases, the reason can be that the other parent has, in a way, manipulated or alienated the child from the other parent. They use the concept of parental alienation as a possible reason why the child, in this specific case, do not want to see the parent. Cases of parental alienation exist, and that those cases sometimes is a violation of the Article 8, There might be reasons why there should not be contact. For instance, if the child is abused or harmed or exposed for violence, all that kind of things. But that's not what we are talking about. We are talking about parents who is good enough and they want to have contact with their child, but there are different reasons. For instance, parental alienation, they have lost the contact. The most difficult problem is that what to do. I mean, what happened with the judgment? And because very often when the judgment is decided in Strasbourg, there has been a long passage of time. All cases started on national level, of course, and the court in Europe is very keen on telling that the European court is not an alternative court. The main court are the national courts. They should decide. The only thing the European court can do is long time afterwards telling what went wrong. And very often that is no help for the people involved. The child may be lost in a way. So then the most important thing might be that this is a learning case which can influence, prevent similar failures, and also in a way inspiring better cases in the different nations which has been in the court. Norway so far do not recognize the concept of parental alienation. We have a lot of cases in the court, Norwegian court, dealing with problems with the contact. They are talking about complex reasons, and they are talking about, of course, it's necessary to enlighten the case and to have a very solid and sufficient basis for making decisions. And every case, of course, should be treated individual. Every child is individual. All that is good enough, but they lack the will, in a way, to also see that parental alienation can be one of the reasons, and sometimes the main reason, why there is no contact. As long as they do not recognize it, it also is very difficult to get a discussion on measures to prevent it or to react or sanction it. In these cases, and this is not only parental alienation cases, this goes well. They have their contact, they have agreements, okay, the children moves. But in some cases which we are talking about, they are acting like that the child should not meet or turn up to the contact. The result is that the one parent lose their contact. Most challenging thing, I think, in these cases is how to sanction it. There is an overwhelming understanding that you shall not harm the child. And for instance, if you send the police to the parent which are refusing the contact and just taking the child, bringing it to the parent which shall have contact, it's not allowed legally. But there is a discussion what to do. I mean, you have a judgment, for instance, that saying this parent and this child have the right to mutual contact, and still the other parent refuses it to happen. And it's a deadlock situation. And that is, I think, one of the most challenging things, how to find the best way to get this realized. The main responsibility in these cases lie on the national level. It is on the national level it must be sorted out. When they come to the European Court, it's just the last resort to at least get an understanding that this is not right. Still believing in rule of law and believing in abiding international law, there is a point in itself that a European court can say to a national court, you have this is wrong. You have not done enough. The lack of you taking sufficient measures is a violation. This is a trial or judgment against the state. So then we can hope that this state improve and prevent similar cases. That's what we can hope for. Because of the passage of time, not very important, the passage of time, it's very difficult for the European Court to make it good again for the individual, but maybe it can make it better for other people in the future.